Next year, this month, this night, I will cloud this moon with my tears. Talk about a dramatic line, right? It's a curse, it's a promise, and it's a confession, all wrapped up in one. We're going to come back to this, I promise. But first, we need to set the scene.
So, today we're diving into a story called Konjiki Yasha, or The Golden Demon. And this isn't just any old novel. This is a story that people say literally captured the soul of a nation that was going through some major turmoil. And maybe the wildest part? It was never actually finished.
That's really the question at the heart of this whole thing. It takes that age-old dilemma of love versus money and just cranks it up to this tragic, soul-shattering extreme. Okay, to really get this, we need to rewind the clock a bit.
To understand the story, you've got to picture the world it was born into. We're talking about late 19th century Japan. It was a time of just incredible, almost dizzying energy and total chaotic change.
And this is where it gets really interesting, because you have this massive culture clash happening. On one side, you've got Bushido, the old samurai way of thinking, all about honor and loyalty. And on the other, you have this sudden flood of Western capitalism, this idea that, hey, money is power, cash is king. It was basically a battle for the country's soul.
And you just have to see how fast this all went down. We're talking about a few short decades, and Japan goes from samurai with swords to steam trains, suits, and gas lamps. That kind of rapid-fire change gives you whiplash, and it created this deep, unsettling feeling in people's hearts, which is the perfect setup for a tragedy.
So, you've got this huge storm brewing in society, but how does that actually affect real people? Well, it all comes down to a love story. A really pure, perfect romance that gets caught right in the crossfire. So, meet our main characters. We have Kenichi, this super smart, serious student with a bright future, and then there's Omeya, his beautiful fiancée. They were childhood sweethearts, totally in love, and both families were completely on board. I mean, they were supposed to get the happily ever after.
But you knew it couldn't be that simple, right? Of course not. Because temptation walks in the form of a rich banker's son. And he doesn't come empty-handed. He shows up with the ultimate symbol of this new money-obsessed world, a giant diamond ring.
And just like that, Omiya is stuck. An impossible choice. She loves Kenichi with all her heart, but suddenly she's got her parents whispering in her ear, telling her that love fades, but money is forever. Can she really trade her soulmate for a life of security and luxury?
What she decides to do next leads to maybe the single most famous scene in all of Japanese literature, a brutal, heartbreaking showdown on a moonlit beach.
So Omiya tells him her decision, and Konichi just snaps. He kicks her down onto the sand and screams this vow at the moon. This is the exact moment his heart doesn't just break, it shatters and reforms into something cold, hard, and vengeful.
And his transformation is just brutal. He gives up on his future, drops out of school, and completely disappears. When he comes back, he's a loan shark, the very kind of person he used to look down on. His logic is twisted but simple. If money is the evil that ruined his life, then he will become its master. He'll become a demon of finance.
And that's exactly what the title means. Konjiki means golden, referring to money. And Yasha is a type of demon. So Konichi literally becomes the golden demon, a man who has let his obsession with wealth completely devour his humanity.
So he's become this golden demon. Where does that road lead him? Well, the answer, or really the lack of an answer, is what makes this story an absolute legend.
Here's the truly tragic part. Nobody wins. Konichi gets richer and richer, but his heart just becomes this cold, empty wasteland. And Omiya? She gets her fancy life, but she's miserable, trapped in a loveless marriage, crying every single night. In this world, money doesn't buy happiness. It just buys new kinds of pain.
And now for the final twist. The author, who was basically a literary rock star back then, died super young, at just 35, before he could ever finish the book. So would Konichi ever have forgiven Omiya? Were they doomed from the start? We'll never, ever know. Their story is just left hanging there, an eternal mystery.
So, why are we still talking about this story over 100 years later? Why does it still hit so hard? Well, look at this. The pressure hasn't really changed, has it? It's just taken on new forms. Omiya was tempted by a big diamond. Today, our diamonds are everywhere. It's that pressure for financial success, it's social media status, that constant, grinding chase for likes and followers.
And it forces you to ask yourself, right? What are the glittering temptations in our own lives?
What are we willing to sacrifice for them? A real relationship? Our own peace of mind? Our integrity?
Just like the novel's ending, the question of how you balance what you love with what you want, it's a mystery. The Golden Demon doesn't give us any easy answers. It just holds up a mirror and leaves us with that raw, profound, and deeply human scream of a soul.